Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Get Dirty Garage, where today I think it's time to see if we can stuff the LS into the Elco. Definitely going to have to figure out how to make some room for that ginormous transmission that we got going in there, but let's see if we got enough stuff prepped that we can drop that in and see what kind of interferences and things we have from there. So it's install day, so that's always a good thing. But anyways, got a lot of work to do, so let's go ahead and let's get dirty. Is this thing on? Yeah. Okay, well, it's time to see if this will fit into that. So in order to do that, like I said, I'm pretty sure that have to do a little bit of trans-tunnel modification, so I did some very precise and accurate measurements. And determined, well, basically the whole tunnel's got to come out of there. So, you know, we'll get to that cutting out, and then we can see if we can stuff this in place and be able to do our first trial fit, I guess. So we'll pick it up from there. All right, now that we got this tunnel out of the way, probably cut out more than I needed to, but you know, we can put back in whatever we didn't need to take out. So let's see if we can take a stab at sliding this thing in here. So I've got it back up in the air on the cheap cherry picker here. So. See if we get anywhere close. That should get us started. down a bit. Get my buddy Jack on the back side of this. Looks like we're hanging up on that starter shield. So, all right, get that out of the way. Well, it is over the mounts, but alternator seems to hit the steering box. So I guess next step we'll pry that alternator off of there and figure out if we can get closer next time. All right, so I got the alternator off. I think we can, and I also loosened up the mounts on the engine side just to get a little adjustability. See if we can't get this thing somewhere close to where it wants to be, or I want it to be. Okay, one mount. All right, we settled down on the mount, so now it's just a trick of getting the bolt in. So I will get this other side bolt in, and then we'll figure out how and what fits and what doesn't, and be able to go from there. Okay, so engine is in. Both of the trans mounts had some bolts in them, and got my buddy Jack hanging onto the back side of that. So we got our drive line angle, or engine angle, around 3 degrees, which is about right. But got pretty decent clearance. Pretty tight right there on one portion of the pan, but everything else seems to be in pretty good shape. Got plenty of room back here. We'll put the manifold on or intake on there after a bit, but I think at this point I'm going to try and see what we can MacGyver up for a transmission cross member and see if we can get everything supported in there where it's supposed to be. So that'll be the next step. Okay, so it turns out that the transmission cross member is basically a non-event, which is pretty surprising. I put this cross member in like the second to last set of holes on the side and took off the trans mount that was on there for the Camino and put on the old trans mount. It did bolt right up, and then didn't have to modify it at all. It bolted on. I did put about 5 washers per side in the mounts just to get a little bit of spacing in there. That set my driveline angle at 3.4 degrees, which I think I can live with. I can always add a few more washers if I want to reduce that down just a little bit. But surprisingly, it basically bolted on with the old transmission mount and no modifications to the cross member. So pretty surprising, but we'll take a win when we can get it. All right, well, time to start trying to figure out this trans tunnel. Obviously what we cut out doesn't really fit back in there, but I'm thinking that if I can take this whole mess and just raise it, just add some here to the sides, I might be able to reuse this tunnel. Got a little bit of clearance issues on back in here, but if I raise that up and just add a piece basically straight up and down in here, I think I can get pretty close. So we'll do some measuring and guessing and trying to figure out what to really do there. But I don't think I've got to reform the entire mess, which is good. So it's got to go up, leave room for vents and stuff. So we'll do a little bit of measuring and guessing, and we'll see what we come up with. So, but I think that's the plan at the moment. Okay, well, after copious amounts of beating and grinding and bending and such forth and so on, and figuring out a very precise spacing strategy, basically I figured out that I've got to add about somewhere around 3 inches or so to the front, and somewhere around 2 inches or so in the back. I've got this lip on the floor pan bent up a little bit, but so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of welding this all on the car, I'm going to actually take the tunnel and just add the pieces that I need, and I also need to add like an inch or so in the front in order to kind of match up where I've got things sliced off. So I think I'll cut some pieces, and then we'll lay in patch on both sides, and then kind of figure out that front a little bit, and then we should be able to kind of set it right in there, and then kind of cut. I'm going to make them a little bit longer, and then cut both panels, the floor pan and the tunnel at the same time, so that we can get a good even surface to weld on. So that's the plan. So we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so I cut a strip a little bit longer because after I cut it off straight, I had to actually cut a little bit more of the tunnel off because my original cut was not that straight. So I'm gonna tack this side on and then try and figure out how to make a little bit an extra inch over here. So let's go ahead and tack this together real quick and see if we can't get this tunnel extended. Okay, so got both sides of the tunnel extended there, and got a mark in here where I think I'm gonna just put that in the thingies and bend it over and so on. But for this top part, I need to extend that about an inch or so with some template tape, and the sparkly wheel of terror came up with this beast. So I think I can extend that around. A little bit of bendifying, and that way we can make that just a little bit longer all the way across that front. So I'm going to fit this up just a little bit and clamp it together, and then we'll get to welding on that front part, and then see what we can do to figure out how to chop off the rest of this stuff. So we'll pick it up from there. By the way, had a pretty exciting day yesterday. Got the chance to release my own personal fragrance. Other people in the car really didn't seem to like it though. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's get some work done. Okay, so here's the plan. I'm going to start in the middle since I don't have enough real good clamps to go all the way around. Get this tacked on a couple places, spread the clamps apart a little bit and see if we can't get this thing to lay down where it's supposed to. So we'll at least give that a try. Alright, well, we got this tacked in place enough. I'm going to finish welding this up. I think we should be pretty good shape. Do some grinding, and then we'll get to bending this and then trial fit it in the car. So we'll pick it up from there. Alright, so got the extension on all sides, trimmed up this a little bit, and then I just made a mark here because I need a couple inches in the back and about 3 inches in the front, thereabouts. I mean, the weld's not perfect, but this thing is so wrinkled and crinkled from the stamping process, it really is not going to matter. So, especially as it goes up underneath the carpet and so on. But I'm going to throw this in our makeshift sheet metal brake here and see if what I'm thinking we can do is actually bend these ears over, and that way the part that comes out this way will be kind of flat with the floor, and screw it down to the floor, cut the floor in the tunnel at the same time. That's the thought right now, so we'll see how that goes, but we'll clamp this thing together real quick and see if we can't do a little bit of bending and be able to go from there. Okay, well, that'll give us a good starting point, and I'll bend up that other side, and then we'll do a quick test fit on the car. So I think that may work. We'll figure it out. Okay, well, here's the scoop after going after this with a small array of small pry bars and some delicate finish hammers and so on. Did a bunch of cutting and grinding and playing around, and got this to fit, I think, close enough where I can get decent weld in there. Got a couple of gaps that I got to play with a little bit down in the corners, but we can add some material in there. That's no big deal. But I think at this point I've got good clearance all the way around. So I want to now take this back and taper this down a little bit. I mean, essentially, transmission kind of start tapering it somewhere in here, so we can get this back to try and come down and meet the tunnel back here. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just cutting some reliefs into this back portion here. It is pretty rough and crinkly and stuff like that, but I think we can get that smooth if I cut some reliefs, and then I can start taking this down and kind of squeezing that end down and hopefully get it tapered down so I can meet back in here someplace. I can't get it much further back in this area because this is where that cross member is, where the seats bolt to and all that fun stuff, but I think I can get it to this ridge here. So we'll go ahead and make some slices in here and see if we can't get a little bit of shape in the back of that. Okay, with those in there, I think we can go every other tab, put a little shape in the back of this thing, get some hammer and then dollying and so on, but should be able to get that tucked down in there. Once we get kind of a shape on what we think we like, then we can basically tack all this stuff back together, do a little bit of forming and so on. But I'm going to play around a little bit. I may have to cut some reliefs here, kind of bend this side in, but I think that'll get us at least a start on kind of getting this fitted back down to that tunnel. So we will kind of pick it up from there. All right, so I got those cuts made in there and just started bending these over. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a, I don't even know what they call that kind of dolly, but one of those. I'm going to take one of those. Kind of go along the back side here and see if I can't kind of smooth out those transitions and get a little bit of the roughness out of that and try and make it a all-in-one curve. And then once I do that, and then I'll come back and I'll cut those reliefs again, cut them both at the same time. That way I can tack up those seams real easy. So let's see if we can't smooth this out a little bit and make this transition reasonable. Okay, well, I think that gets us a decent enough curve. I'll play with that just a little bit with some pliers, but then let's go ahead and slice these back open since we've kind of overlapped them, and that way we can get kind of a butt joint, and we'll hammer those in, and should be good to weld up. So that'll be the next step. Okay, before we get too crazy, let's go and stuff this in the car and see what it looks like, and then we can finish up filling in those seams. But I think that transition should be fine. Like I said, this is going underneath the console, and I mean there'll be sound deadening and carpet and all sorts of stuff on it, so it doesn't need to be the prettiest thing in the world, which is good. So let's go stuff this in the car. Okay, so here it is in the car. I think, in bringing this down, I think I can make this little transition piece between here and, this lip here pretty easy. Just get some template tape, and then we can slice a little bit more of that tunnel off, and then just tie this right to here when we get this in for the final install. But you know, from just rounding that down, I think it'll work good. So let's go ahead and just fill in all the slices that I made and get that ground down, and then we will see what we can do to make a little piece back here. Okay, so got that tapered and all welded up, and not gonna lie to you, that was one of the toughest welding I ever every little ripple was a thick spot, and every little divot was a thin spot, so chased burns all over the place and couldn't get good weld in other spots, and it was just a nightmare. So I put a really light grind on that. Like I said, it's going to be covered with a whole bunch of stuff, so shouldn't be a problem. But I think before I make this transition piece to the other hump here, I'm actually going to screw this down to the floor all along the edges here, and then cut a line through both the tunnel and the floor, so I'll get a good match to the cut, and that way I can set this tunnel down in its kind of final position, figure out some way to prop it up in there. Maybe my buddy Jack can help, but that way get it kind of sit in there, make sure that everything is fitting and all that fun stuff, and then we will be able to try and make that transition piece in the back here a little bit. So we'll figure that one out, but let's do some cutting with a sparkly wheel of terror. All right, so got this in here and playing around with it and so on, and trying to get a good feel for where to cut, cleaned up the edges and stuff like that. But after looking at kind of what the shape of the metal and all that fun stuff with all the ridges and ripples and everything else, kind of came to the decision that this is a really good place for a lap joint. So anyways, I mean, the floors are lapped along the front from the factory anyway, so I think that'll be a lot easier in order to get this in place and don't drive me crazy with burning through all sorts of everything. So let's go ahead and get this back piece a little bit mocked up. Get out the trusty template tape, and then we can make a piece that kind of fits this little opening here, and I think I will attach that to the tunnel itself and then put it all in all at the same time. So at least that's the thought process going on. So we'll get this mocked up, and then get this piece cut out, get her tacked on at least to the tunnel here, and that way we can kind of get all the gaps filled, and everything should be able to line up and actually fit at some point. So that's the next step. Okay, so we got this tailpiece made, I guess, at least formed enough, but I think at this point where I did primer around kind of where I want to put the lap joints and stuff, but at this point, just ready to melt this thing together a little bit, and I'm going to start by just tacking the front of this. I just had to prop it up just a little bit, and then I'll go along and screw down the sides and then get this thing all tacked in place. So let's get started in the front here. Okay, as you can imagine, I got a whole bunch of welding and tacking to do, so I will get busy with that and get this in here. And we'll take a look at it once we get it kind of all installed and ground down, but we are gaining on it, so I will get busy doing that. Okay, so tunnel is in. Really just put just ground off the obnoxious parts of the weld. Really didn't work on finishing any of that, but all in and solid. So I think we have made some progress. I mean, it looks a little enormous at this point, but so is the transmission, and got good clearance all the way around it. Hopefully there's enough room for shifter linkage and fun stuff like that. But from that perspective, I think we can consider that in. So task accomplished. Well, I think that's going to do it for this edition of Let's Get Dirty Garage. We did get a little bit accomplished, got engine at least stuffed in there, engine trans got mounts figured out and placement and so on. Transmission tunnel clearanced and basically remade. So now we just got to figure out all the rest of the accoutrements that go on this beast. So anyways, but I think we're at a point where we can consider it a success. And hey, I sure appreciate you coming along for the ride. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and see where we're at on all our progress and stuff like that. Thanks so much for watching. And if you haven't yet, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment. Let me know what's on your mind. But hey, we appreciate everything so much where you guys are supporting us. And if you got any questions, just leave me a note, shoot me an email, and we'll go from there. But thanks a bunch for getting dirty with me today, and we'll see you next time. Take care.